Romero, and I'm a mental health advocate from York County. I was given the amazing opportunity to speak at last year's Mental Health Day event, and even though the format is a little different this year, I'm honored to be a part of it again. I wanted to briefly introduce myself and share a little bit about my story. I'm currently 18 years old and have been a mental health advocate in York and in Pennsylvania for about 4 years. Now, not many 14-year-olds spend their days planning mental health awareness events, but I was not your average teenager. You see, starting when I was 9 years old, I started feeling symptoms of depression. It wasn't until I was 12 when I first realized that my thoughts and lack of emotions weren't normal, and I started seeking treatment. But by that time, treatment came a little too late, and by 13, I attempted to take my own life. That year, I faced grueling amounts of hospitalizations, therapy, medication changes, and hard conversations. Telling family members and friends why you missed the last 3 months of school or why you couldn't be left alone was very difficult, especially since no one knew about my depression. That year was the hardest year of my life. But this isn't a sad story. In fact, this story is one of my most cherished ones because it has made me the person I am today. With rigorous treatment and immense love and support from my church and family, I have been able to manage my depression. By my sophomore year of high school, I had finally opened up and shared my story and had hardly any depressive thoughts or feelings. This wave of relief kept me going through my junior year, and I was in full swing of mental health advocacy and all my other activities that kept me very busy. Life was great. So when my senior year came along and I started feeling those symptoms again, I was confused. I thought that my depression days were over after my freshman year. I didn't feel the same way I did before, and I didn't have the same thoughts. I had my tool belt of coping skills and my regime of medications, so I couldn't be struggling with depression again, and if I was, why does it feel so different from what I experienced before? I didn't feel all that hopeless, and I knew how to manage my self-deprecating thoughts. So why was I so tired all the time? Why was I having a hard time feeling joyful? How could I, the mental health advocate who was graduating in less than a year, about to go to college to be a mental health professional, struggle with depression? I thought I had beat it. It was humiliating to go back to my doctors and therapists to try to figure out what was wrong. Did I have a thyroid problem? Do I have a sleep disorder? Am I just not eating right? I begged for the doctors to find something physically wrong so that I didn't have to face the fact that my depression was back. After many tests, lifestyle changes, and tweaks in medications, I finally was able to face the reality that I was dealing with my depression once again. Facing another round in the ring with my depression made me feel like a failure. I told myself that if I was as strong as everyone has told me that I would be able to get rid of it once and for all. Over time, I have come to realize that mental health, just like physical health, is a constantly moving spectrum. You can have good weeks, months, or even years in which you experience little to no symptoms. But you can also have bad weeks, months, or years which your symptoms are constant. Mental illnesses are chronic, and there isn't a pill or a type of therapy that can make your mental illness disappear forever. Hearing this information can seem to make dealing with a mental illness hopeless, but for me, it has unlocked the key to my recovery. I've come to realize that while I can never really cure my depression, I do have control over how I manage it. When I finally understood that my depression can look and feel differently than it did before, I felt relieved. I knew this illness, and I have so many people already in place to support me through it. Even though I had to learn a couple of new coping skills and change medications and some of my daily habits, I know that I have control over my depression. I know that I have amazing therapists, psychiatrists, and other mental health professionals that have been there and will continue to be there for me through all of the twists and turns my journey through life will take. I have so many friends, spiritual mentors, and family members that have been there for me and understand that healing takes time. I know that I am strong enough to overcome all of the curveballs my depression throws my way. I know this because I've done it before. I did it 5 years ago, I did it 5 months ago, and I'm doing it today. But not once have I done it alone. I know that I'm strong, but there are days that I need someone to remind me of that strength. I know that I have the willpower to fight, but when I haven't had the energy to take a shower for a week, I need someone to sit me down and tell me to fight. The worst lie that you can tell yourself is that you don't need other people. My depression has taught me so much over the past 5 years, but the most important thing that it has taught me is that I can't live this life alone. I have tried and failed so many times. I know that I will always have to cope with my depression, and sometimes it will be easier than others. But I also know that I will never be alone in my journey. This life we have will always be better together. Thank you.